Bonsoir et bienvenue pour notre programme Tête à Tête. Tantôt avec nous, nous avons M. Barry Laine qui peut cause le STA-PPF comme chairman, Seychelles Truth, Reconciliation and Peace Platform. M. Barry Laine, bonsoir et merci pour venir dans Tête à Tête. Mr. Laine, you are the chairperson of the Seychelles Truth and Reconciliation and Peace Platform. What was the aim and objectives of the platform?
Initially, the platform was created as an NGO for us to look into how other countries have taken their process of truth and reconciliation through. We also wanted to identify were there any mistakes that perhaps if we engage in that, we had not engaged in it yet, we could avoid. So we researched into 51 countries, quite in depth, and then we started to notice there's a pattern of mistakes. And the pattern of mistakes, when you look at the date, it occurred because one country copied another country. So when they copied the mistakes as well. So in 51 countries, perhaps you will find there are 5 categories. The rest are all bunched together, followed each other. And most of them, the incoming president creates laws to protect the outgoing president, the atrocities of the outgoing president. So we kept this in mind throughout our research, because we then wanted to see if we, in Seychelles, go through this process, how would we address it? Because we're very different. The way the coup d'etat happened in the Seychelles, I was not here, so I look at it with an open mind. I was not involved in it. The way it happened is that the general public was not at war. There was no riots. It was like a bad dream that happened overnight. People woke up the next morning and SBC announced there was a coup d'etat. So that in itself put us in a different category.
Mr. Laine, if I get you right, your Truth and Reconciliation platform was created even before the National Assembly decided to form the committee.
Yes, that's correct.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And after your research, what was the aim and the objectives of this research, your research and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission?
Well, we wrote a very big report, which we presented to the President, and we gave copies to Chief Justice, Honorable Wevo Rankalawan. Many people had copies of it, because in the report, which is quite a big book, it explains the process that other countries have gone through, their reconciliation, in the hope that when we do ours, we will take these things into considerations. Because in every country, well, most countries, the politicians committed the crimes. Then the politicians created rules to protect those who committed the crimes. The civil society, the victims, the people who suffered, were not involved in creating the law. And this is being repeated in the Seychelles, which is not good enough.
But Mr. Laine, what was the success rate in those countries you studied? It's about 41 or...
I would say about 40%, 60%, big majority were failures. The number of failures were due to a number of reasons. For example, as they wanted to do here, they create a commission, the commission does a report, hands it to the president, and then the commission is dissolved. Then there is nobody for anybody to turn to. If the president then appoints agencies to take care of the victims, then when they do not, then they blame the commission, but the commission's already gone, dissolved. And even in South Africa today, there are still issues unresolved from their Truth and Reconciliation. So many countries made that mistake, and we wrote in our report that this should not be done here. We should create a commission that goes along for a number of years, take care of business, then close down.
But what did you expect after your research?
After the research, I expected whoever is going to create the laws would take into consideration some of the things that we have said in there. But they completely ignored us, and they went ahead and did their own thing. And then they announced that they were ready with this draft law.
But Mr. Laine, you said in an article in the Seychelles Nation dated 27th April 2017, I quote, "The way forward is non-political."
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
What I meant by that is that we cannot have a commission made up of figureheads or politicians. We cannot have politicians involved in something that the politicians have done. We believe that civil society, people in our community, and we have some very good level-minded people in our community in the civil society, who would be on the commission and would not have any favoritism for either the perpetrators or the victims, but would give both parties a level playing field. So from the very beginning I said no politicians on the commission.
Yeah, but Mr. Laine, you said the way forward was no politicians. You saw what happened from your research. But why did you join the National Assembly Committee in their public meetings? Why did you become part of that when you knew it was not what you wanted? Because you were there when they officially launched the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in ICCS. I remember you made a huge presentation.
Yeah, we represented Seychelles Truth and Reconciliation Platform.
Yeah.
We were there as STRPP.
Yeah, yeah.
And our role at that time, the law had not been created.
Yeah.
We were gathering information from people. We were there to see in Seychelles who are the victims and who are the ones who got up and spoke and said what they had to say.
Yeah, but couldn't you have done it, I mean, without joining the same group that you...
No, I don't think so, because you cannot separate at the very beginning. We were invited to join. We went to join. We carry our own belief. We joined them. We listened to everybody. Pastor Ludwig was here from South Africa, and we listened, and we collected from there the information that we then added to our report. But this does not mean that we agree with the law. The law had not been created then. They were just fact-finding.
Yes, but you knew the law was going to be in favor of all the mistakes you had seen from the countries of the past, where you just said politicians would cover up for outgoing politicians. You didn't expect anything else.
No, but just because in other countries politicians covered up for each other, it does mean that in Seychelles we would do so. We didn't know at the time that we were going to do that, so we joined in. And we contributed as much as possible. This is what our report. Then we did seminar at CEPS on our own. Then we went to Prague and did seminars. And the idea was to collect from the people the information that we were looking for. How do we go about doing it in the Seychelles? Nothing to do with what they were planning or what other countries have done. We need facts for us to base our own on.
But were you involved in the process of what the National Assembly was doing?
No, we attended the show, at ICCS.
Yes.
It was open to the public. We were invited. And then we did one at CEPS, which people came. And that is all the involvement we had with the National Assembly.
Is that what you had in mind? Is that what you expected?
I expected them to call us in and get from us the information that we collected, which they did not.
Why? Do you
You have to ask them. I don't know why they didn't call us in. We have an idea why, because they knew, based on our report, that we would not allow the law, or we would not agree with the law going the way it is going now.
But since you expected to be a part of this process, as you said earlier, and you were not,
Yes.
is that not the reason why maybe now you are bitter against the whole thing?
No, we're not bitter. We represent civil society. We are saying that what they're doing, there are certain areas we need to amend. Okay, we put forward some amendments. There are still some more amendments that we would like to see. Now, it doesn't mean we are bitter. We're saying they are wrong the way they're going. That's not bitterness. This is contributing to what we believe in.
What do you believe in?
We believe that the perpetrators and the victims should be given equal opportunity to come and say what they have to say. The Commission will listen, and then the members of the Commission, who should not be given legal powers, will then decide amongst themselves which way do we go with this.
This is what you believe.
This is what I believe should happen.
But it's not what happened.
It's not what's in the law currently. The law gives the Commission legal powers. In the beginning, the law wanted to have private meetings. We said no private meetings. Have it in camera, and one thing we don't want is public meetings. Like some countries, they had public meetings and people were throwing stones at the perpetrators. We're civilized. We don't want to do this. But if they want somebody to come and give evidence in private, record it. Because we need this evidence. We cannot just say it's private, therefore there's no need for you to know it. And now under the Access of Information new law, if the media wants it, they ask for it, they have to be given it. So in a way it is private at the time the person is giving the evidence for some protection, of course. But then after that, this information is kept in the archive, available for people to see.
But isn't that the case now? That the information is available?
No, now we said this point has been taken care of. What the other points that are outstanding are, one, giving legal powers to the Commission. We disagree with that.
Why?
Because we have a judiciary, we have a law of the land. Why should a bunch of politicians suddenly decide to give legal powers to a group of people? We don't know who they are, they've not been chosen yet, we don't know where they're going to come from. To us, civil society, this is against our constitution. We have a law, we have a judicial system. What we should do is observe those. Creating a bunch of 7 people and giving them legal powers, come on. This is not right. In anybody's
well, isn't it? I haven't seen the law, but isn't it stated how much power these people would have within that law, or it would be?
They haven't stated their legal parameters. Their legal parameters have not been spelled out, so we don't know whether they can wave a wand and everything is forgiven. But truth and reconciliation is about the perpetrators meeting with the victim. The two coming to some kind of acceptance, a resolution. Then it is up to the victim to issue forgiveness. Even the Commission is not there to grant amnesty and grant pardon. It is up to the victim. Now, when the Commission has taken the process to a point where they believe, yes, this is now a nice and level playing field. The victim have met with the perpetrators and the perpetrators have shown repentance and so on. We have within our Constitution the ability for the Commission to send a request to the President for a presidential pardon. So we don't need amnesty. Amnesty is forgiving people before they appear in front of you. You fill in a form, you apply for amnesty, so you come and confess, and then after that, you're a free man. We've seen this happen in other countries. We should not be doing it that way. This presidential pardon is very powerful. It's within our jurisprudence. You understand? The Commission can use it. So that leaves out the need for us to grant anybody amnesty. Then when it comes to legal powers, our judiciary is there. If the Commission wants to get the police involved in the case, they get the police involved in the case. If they want to get the Chief Justice involved in it, they get the Chief Justice involved in it. This is our country. This is our laws. What we're trying to do now is give legal power to a handful of people. Where will it stop? Where will it stop?
But Mr. Laine, so if I get you right, you are against that part of giving amnesty to...
Amnesty and legal powers. And also we are against protecting the wives of the perpetrators from giving evidence. Why should that be so? The law is there. If the law has been broken, then they have to come to the Commission. The Commission will decide. Do we send this case forward, or is it a matter for us to arrange for the perpetrators and the victims to meet? Forgiveness is granted, no punishment, no retribution. You see? Because we have spoken to a number of perpetrators and victims. A number of people are saying, well, I obeyed orders. Where did the orders come from? From up there. Who's up there? Well, maybe so-and-so. So there's no physical evidence of where the orders came from. But the guy is crying. He's a perpetrator. He has committed something he's not happy about. It is up to us to see that he was not the one who committed the crime. He was an instrument in committing the crime. These are the sort of compassionate areas of the Commission we're looking for. This is why we cannot have on the Commission figureheads who will come and sit on a Commission. They don't have any background of what has gone on in other countries. So what are they going to do? We need experts. We need people with psychological background. We need people with some legal background. Working people on the Commission. Mainly civil society.
And when you're talking about figureheads,
yes,
what type of figureheads you having in mind? What kind? Who? Who wouldn't you want to see on that?
We don't want to see any ex-ministers. We don't want to see any ex-politicians. We want to see ordinary people, working people, civil society.
Such as?
Well, there are a few names which I have not got their permission to release, so I can...
Don't release names, but the
kind of people. Okay,
okay.
Lawyers. We can get 1 or 2 lawyers on the Commission. We can get somebody who deals in such matters, people from HR, human resources. There are many areas we can get people who are level-minded. Okay? Now, the other thing also, what we don't want is people from the diaspora. Although they are asking for a representative on the Commission. You know, X number of thousands of them were made to leave their country of birth. Now they are 30,000 in numbers overseas. And they're strong, they've got money, they've got intelligence, and they can come back on us very heavily if we don't do this process properly.
Mr. Laine, the impression I have is you are really against the Bill of Law number 1 of 2018.
Yes.
Because you believe it contains lies and misrepresentation published by President with Speaker of the National Assembly, Vice President Meriton, Honorary Weveram Kalawan, and Honorary Charles Dukumamo.
Yes.
What are the lies, Mr. Laine? Now it's a chance for you to...
Okay, on page 7 of the bill number 1, it says there, we have met extensively with Barry Laine of STRPP. Well, they have not met extensively with me because I did a presentation to them, then I heard nothing from them. We sent them a copy of our report we presented to the President. We heard nothing from them. We joined them at ICCS in this symposium, which was open to the public. After that, we heard nothing from them. The next thing we know, this draft law came out.
And your name was mentioned that you
A
were...
name that was mentioned that they met extensively with me. Now, what it means is that by implication, they are saying, I agree with what's inside the
Exactly.
bill. This is nonsense. This should not be, you cannot start to look for the truth with a lie. You must...
Yeah, but you did not condemn the lie at that time.
When?
I mean, when...
As soon as I saw the bill, I condemned it.
You did?
Yes. I wrote to them and told them this is not right. And I wrote articles about it.
And what was the reply?
Nothing.
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 So what are the other lies?
Well, many is that they concurred with it, they discussed with me, and we agree, you know, more or less saying that we agree with what's in the law. Because had they met with us extensively, they would have known we're against legal powers, we're against amnesty, we're against giving protection to the perpetrators' wives. Another thing that they have now put in there, which is part of when we went back to them and objected, we asked for a monument. They have agreed that. We asked for everything to go in the archive, and we create a coup d'etat archive. They've agreed to that. So we got two things that we wanted. But they're not the very major things. The major thing is this giving of legal powers, this granting of amnesty, this is intended to protect the perpetrators. We cannot do this to the victims. The victims have a right to get a fair hearing of themselves and the perpetrators.
But Mr. Laine, maybe people are asking that question is, I mean, the question is, not a lot of organizations have reacted to the law, except you.
But which organization has studied
I mean, the
it?
church is silent, every other...
Okay.
The NGOs are silent, SEPs,
Wait a minute.
they haven't taken a stance.
Just wait a minute, the church. In the countries we've studied, in some countries the church were involved. Yeah? Here in Seychelles, the church has stayed away. They don't want to get involved because there is a requirement for the church to come on the commission. So it's probably good that they have just kept quiet, let it get sorted out. If they're invited, they will come and take part. I think that is correct, the correct thing to do. From the other NGOs, we have Seychelles Civil Society, which is a sister company to STR people, and we have got ARID, who has also joined us. We did a seminar at STC with ARID there also. So it's the people who are concerned with this. And I guess the reason why ARID is interested is because Jules Wao interviewed me and interviewed Honorable Waiver Kalawan. So they can see which angle we're going into. Which other organization are there in Seychelles that can come forward and say anything about this?
What about the human rights?
Where's the human rights? Who's the human rights? Only now we're starting to appoint create a commission, appoint commissioners for the human rights.
Yeah, but there are people that are very vocal about human rights. They could have come.
They could have come, but maybe they didn't have the knowledge that we have behind them for them to come and challenge it. It doesn't mean that something is right just because only a handful of people are objecting to. It doesn't mean that. 90% can be wrong, 10% can be right.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking you the
Yeah.
question, and I want you to
But
clarify.
we studied, and also we believe that we're not like SEPs. We will come out and say what is wrong when it's wrong, because we believe a right is right, a wrong is wrong.
Well, you've come out, you've said what is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Now it is, first of all, you saw in the letter that I've written to the Speaker of the National Assembly, we want to know what amendments went into the bill, because when we asked, we're told it's already been sent to the President. The President said he hasn't got it. So where is it? Okay, so we need to know, where is it? Where are the amendments? Under the new law, we are entitled to see the amendments. And the MNAs in front of SPC camera ask people to send in other amendments that they would like to see in the bill. So that means the bill is not closed. That means any more amendments we send in should be open for debate. Whether we get them or not, it doesn't matter. We have pointed out, in our view, this is what we would like to see. The bill, if it has gone to the President, we're asking for it to come back to the National Assembly, open the debate properly, maybe invite civil society to have their say, maybe SPC can have a big roundtable discussion about it instead of on a one-to-one, and get the views of other people. There are people there who ring us up, there are people who access our website, and they give me a headache because they don't agree with it, but then they don't agree. They don't know which channel to use to say they don't agree with it. So they come to us, and we pass the information. In my letter to, or our letter to the Speaker, I have mentioned to him that there are very angry people out there because the victims are not being given an equal opportunity.
So you are now, on top of your role as chairman, you are now advocating the voice of the voiceless.
Society. Yes, civil society. What has civil society done in Seychelles? It's been dormant. We haven't done very much. Things happen, politicians do things, nobody objects to it. This is the first time that people are standing up and say, hey, wait a minute, what about this? Especially on this business of coup d'etat was carried out by politicians. It is now up to civil society to judge them. It's not for politicians to judge politicians. And this is what people are saying.
But do you think the civil society would be fair and just?
Yes. Yes, because there are people who are not looking at revenge. If you hate someone, Mr. Duffy, who is hurting? The person you hate or you? You are hurting. You are stressed because you hate someone. So there are people I have spoken to who are willing to listen to what the perpetrators have to say. And as I mentioned before, this business of where did the order come to do something, it's a very difficult one, you see. So before you penalize people, give them an opportunity to speak. Give the perpetrators an opportunity, give the victims an opportunity. When we held our seminar at CEPS, some of the victims got up, they shouted, they were crying, and I have sat with perpetrators who have cried. It's a deep subject.
Yes, but Mr. Laine, one thing I want to clear, because it is the impression people have out there. There's a tendency to believe that because you've been left out in some way, you feel disappointed, and you're being vindictive towards the people that I have mentioned earlier.
No.
Is that?
No, we have not been left out. We're there, we are having our say, okay? And whether we are included or not, we are an NGO. If the Commission goes ahead and we're not included, we're still an NGO. We are still there to monitor what the Commission is going to do. So it's not we're doing this because we want to be included or excluded. That has nothing to do with it.
And you don't have anything against the people I mentioned earlier?
None at all. Look, mistakes have been made. Okay, they thought they would do it this way and get away with it. But suddenly we have said, hey, hold on, not this way. There's another way. So why should we be against them? We're not against anybody. We have said this has gone through Parliament or National Assembly. Let's look at it again. There are a couple of issues that give us a chance to argue our issues. Why we don't want to give legal powers to a handful of guys. Give us our chance to explain it. Why we don't want amnesty. Give us a chance to explain it. That's it. Once we've explained, and maybe it's taken into consideration or not, then the people have had their say.
Final question, Mr. Laine. If you were to be asked to be a part of that commission, would you accept?
I would accept it on behalf of STRPP, the NGO that has done a lot of work on this. And I would also say that people like ARID, and there's another organization called Seychelles Civil Society that is growing now. And that sister company has also done a lot of work. If I was asked to join, I would join on their behalf. I would not, and this is why I say to the president, when the team has been chosen, let the team choose their chairman, chairperson. Let the team choose their vice chairperson. And something else, the team has been created by means that we all agree. If one of the commissioners misbehaves, it should not be up to the President and the Chief Justice to say, take him out or her out. It should be up to the team to say, hey, this guy or this lady is not going in the right direction, we're going. We will ask his or her organization who nominated her to replace him or her. Very democratic.
Mr. Laine, thank you very much for participating with us.
My pleasure.
Voilà, c'était tête-à-tête avec M. Barry Laine qui typait éclairci son position sur sa nouveau bill Truth and Reconciliation. Merci, rendez-vous semaine prochaine.